Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Bleeding Burnt Orange live show here on Mark Rogers TV, SG1 Sports on the Texas channel, and Mark Rogers Big 12 channel. Go and hit the like button on each of those channels. Go and subscribe on each of those channels. It really helps us out, guys. Thank you for so much for being here tonight and throughout the whole season. This will be the last edition of the regular season for Bleeding Burnt Orange. Hopefully, I'm praying we get a playoff edition. I know we'll be here for post game, so please hit the like button. Please subscribe down below. You guys have been awesome this season. Keep those numbers going so we can improve going into next season. And also, go over to the SEC channel and subscribe because we will be there next year. Bleeding Burn Orange will be on the SEC channel. But until then, we're on the Big 12, so subscribe to that channel. Also, guys, if you're going to go to a game, especially a beautiful game like there's going to be Saturday in multiple places, you have Championship Saturday. It's one of the best weekends of college football. The only bad part about it is college football is starting to wind down and end. That is the only bad thing about college football this Saturday. But if you want to save some money while that's happening, go to ticketsmarter.com, type in code BIG for $10 off a purchase of $100 or more, and then type in code BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of $300 or more at ticketsmarter.com. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. And we are going to jump in. Texas obviously beat Texas Tech 57-7. There's really not much else to say about that game. I covered it in the post-game show. I think it's beating a dead horse at this point. Texas absolutely dominated that game. We still didn't play an A game. I thought that was a B+ game. I thought it was our second or third B+ effort of the season. I thought Alabama, Baylor, and the Texas Tech game were the three best efforts this Texas team has had this whole year. And it's still not A football because we are not executing in the red zone. For whatever reason, that has really not gotten much better. I think we've gone from the 120s to around the early hundreds now. So that's still not good enough, guys, at all. And actually, yeah, we're 105th. I have it written down here in red zone scoring. That is not good enough for this talent. If we could be in the 60s or 70s, I said this a couple weeks ago. Can you get me to the 70s? Because if you get me to the 70s, I think this is the second best team in college football. We have yet to do that. Do I think we're a top 4 team? Absolutely no doubt in my mind. I think we would beat a couple of the teams ranked ahead of us. But that doesn't matter because, guys, it is a non-negotiable. If we don't win this game, there's no chance of a college football playoff. None whatsoever. So concentrate on the Pokes. Beat the Pokes. You haven't beaten them yet. This is a revenge game. They've beaten us twice in a row. We have yet to beat them. And we need to get this W before we leave the Big 12. Let's jump into your comments real quick. Texas is advancing. They're out. Okay. No proof of that. If it comes down to Alabama versus Texas for the final playoff slot, I'm not sure who the committee is going to pick. I agree with you, Darrell MVP. I am not sure about that scenario either. For Texas, you were rooting for Georgia and you were rooting for Louisville. If Louisville beats Florida State and Georgia beats Alabama, Texas in the football playoff. People are complaining about Ohio State being ranked ahead of us. I do not care. That does not matter because Ohio State does not have a game this weekend. They're not going to put Ohio State in above us. That's a moot point. I don't know why people keep talking about that like that could happen. People, I think, that are in here already agree or already know my opinion. Oregon being ranked ahead of us is ridiculous. I'll dive into that a little bit, and then we'll move off of that really quick because I don't need to go into it. I got into it last night on this channel. I talked about Oregon being ranked ahead of us because we have a stronger strength of schedule, stronger strength of record, the best win versus best win, where we clear them. It's not close. Game control, guys. This is another stat. Texas is third in the country. Oregon is second. You're one spot higher in game control with a worse schedule. People keep talking about like Texas is skating by. We've had 3 games where we've won by less than 10 points. 2 of those were with our backup quarterback. This really should not be a debate, guys. It really shouldn't. And I heard some very illogical takes. I'm a very logical person. If you can put out a logical argument to why Oregon is ahead of us, go ahead. And because I just brought to you game control. If we're third and they're second, that's not good enough for them to be ahead of us. If we were like 30th or 40th and they were second, and even though our schedule's better than theirs, fine. There's an argument. Third and second is not an argument, guys. It really isn't. There's not a space between. There's not a 2-gap space there to me. If you wanted to put them 6th and 7th, I'd still argue that we're ahead of them, but at least it's closer. They should not be ranked ahead of Ohio State either. That's a joke. They shouldn't be ranked ahead of Alabama. They should be the 8th best team in the country because that's what they are. That's what their resume says they are. And it'll be interesting what happens in the Pac-12 championship game. And That's all I'm going to talk about that. I'm done with talking about that because Texas, again, plays Oklahoma State. We don't play Oregon this week. Concentrate, focus on that game as Texas fans. As a Texas fan, the perception going into the season was win a Big 12 championship. The situation that we were presented with is a weaker Big 12 that we should run through. We've pretty much done that. We stripped up versus Oklahoma, and that's might be the game that cost us getting out of the college football playoff, but it's one loss, and it's better than most of us. Every prediction that I saw for Texas in the Texas fan base was 10-2 in a Big 12 championship. We're 11-1, and we're in a Big 12 championship. We're a game better than we should be, guys. That's why will I be angry if we're left out, if it comes down to us in Oregon? Of course I will be. But at the end of the day, I will be happy with the overall season. I will be happy with the building blocks that we've had. And I know in the future with Steve Sarkisian and what he has built with the culture, with the recruiting, with the coaches that he has on staff, and the other coaches that I think he could get when these other guys leave, that this is going to be a long process of winning. I don't expect Texas to fall off next year. I looked at their schedule. I already know what I'm going to predict for next year. I'll just let this fly right now. We're going to be 9-3 going into next year. I fully believe that. And 9-3 in the SEC next year, and a 12-team playoff probably gets us in. So, again, guys, this season is just the beginning. Don't freak out as Texas fans if we don't make the college football playoff at 12-1. There's no issue with it. It's a hell of a season. Appreciate the journey. Appreciate the process. It's been a long time, and I really appreciate what the team has done and what the players have done, obviously part of the team, what the coaches have done, what the fans hopefully are going to do in celebrating the season, because this hasn't happened in a long time, guys. This is something that in my lifetime I've seen not enough. It hasn't been enough. The last time I remember this is 2009. I barely remember 2005. I was 7 years old when 2005 happened. I wasn't even allowed to watch that national championship game because I was too young. My parents made me go to bed. So this is semi-new territory to me, and I'm appreciating every second of this season. I'm appreciating every second of this team because I know it's just the beginning. It's not the end. Too many factors against Texas if we blow out OSU. I disagree with that. You just need 2 losses, and really only one. I think it would be interesting. I think it would be a coin flip with Bama if they beat Georgia, but Louisville has to beat them. Are you worried about it? Louisville and Georgia both win and Texas wins close. Are you concerned? No, I am not concerned about Ohio State staying in front of us at all. The committee has set a precedent for the longest time that if you're a college football, or if you're usually when you win your conference championship, I believe no team has leapfrogged a team that's won its conference championship with the same record. And we would basically have the same record. They'd be 11-1, we'd be 12-1. So no, I don't think we would be left up for Ohio State at all. Oregon might get the 2014 TCU treatment. It's real. I wish that was the case. I don't see that happening because the thing about that TCU team did not have a conference championship game. Ohio State that year did. We have a conference championship game. Oregon has a conference championship game against the third best team in the country. And if they beat the third best team in the country like they're supposed to, which Vegas has them as a 9.5 point favorite, so they're expecting a 9 to 10 point win, they're not dropping out of the top 4. That's not happening. So Oregon, the winner of the Pac-12 is going to be in the college football playoff. The winner of the SEC most likely is going to be in the college football playoff. The winner of the Big Ten, well, if it's Michigan, will be in the college football playoff. That's 3 spots. We need Florida State to beat Louisville. Louisville to beat Florida State. If Louisville beats Florida State and Georgia beats Alabama, and even if Alabama beats Georgia, I think we still have a 50-50 coin flip. But if you want to be 100% sure, guys, I will guarantee this right now. If Louisville beats Florida State and Georgia beats Alabama, Georgia beats Alabama, we will be in the college football playoff. Those are the 2 things that we absolutely need to happen. I think it's a 50-50 proposition if Florida State loses to Louisville and Alabama beats Georgia. Keep saying Texas is out. Okay. Christopher Foote, what if Oregon wins by 1? Alabama destroys Georgia. Texas destroys Oklahoma State, and FSU beats. Christopher Foote has no idea what he's talking about. For the simple fact is, Ohio State's not getting in over Texas if Oklahoma State, or if we beat Oklahoma State in the scenario I just laid out. It's not happening. You're wrong. I hope it happens so I can prove that you're wrong. You've been wrong about multiple things on this. You were wrong about Kansas not being a good team. They are a good team. If they would have Jason Beam, they would have gone 10-2. So you're wrong about that. And also look at the situations of the past. The past prove you're wrong. Jose, 100% agree. I'm 100% happy with 11-1. Again, we haven't done this since 2009, so we haven't had a better record or the same record versus or as 11-1 or 12-0 since 2009. So I have no issue with going 11-1. What really sucks, guys, honestly, is if we get in a bowl game versus a really good team and then we just have a bunch of opt-outs. I would love to. Who wouldn't love to see Texas versus Ohio State or Texas versus an Ole Miss or Texas versus Missouri in a bowl game fully healthy? I would love to see that. I think personally we would kill Ole Miss. I think it'd be a really good game versus Ole Miss or Missouri and Ohio State. I think it'd be fantastic football. Unfortunately, you're going to have opt-outs, which then who knows who would win at that point, honestly. Like if Marvin Harrison Jr. opts out for Ohio State and we have Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy opt out for us, then it's kind of an even game, I guess, or it's back to even. But if they have Marvin Harrison Jr. opt out and we have everyone that does, and they decide to play, that's not a fair game, and that's not an honest assessment of what the game really would have been. So that sucks. And that is the problem with college football now, guys, is you don't get these really good bowl games. So you're kind of robbed. Really, you have the playoffs, and then you have a bunch of bowl games where people opted out. You do get to see young talent and and the depth on these teams, so that is cool, kind of cool for the individual fan bases. Like it's cool for us Texas fans last year when we got to see Jonathan Brooks play versus Washington, and we got to see a little bit of glimpse of the future with him. But Ohio State fans, they're coming in that game wanting to see all of Texas players, and they're not going to see that. I get to watch Ohio State a lot because I live in Ohio. Whereas an outside guy from Texas would be like, cool, I want to see what Ohio State's made of. And half the guys that you really care about and would have been able to show what they can do won't even play in that game. So that does suck. Screw the eye test from the committee. Georgia and Alabama should rest their starters. I'm kind of confused what you're saying there, Paxton, because Georgia and Alabama, Georgia's ranked where they should be. Alabama's ranked, honestly, they should be higher than where they're at. Oregon should be 8. Alabama should be 7. Texas should be 6. Ohio State should be 5 at this point. The only issue I have is Oregon. That's the biggest thing. Is the best Texas team since the Vince Young title team? No, because the 2019 went undefeated and was a Colt McCoy injury away from winning a national championship, possibly. So no, this is the second best team since that 2005 team for sure. No doubt about that. Maybe 2008, where we beat Ohio State. I think 2008 and this team are very close. You can debate that, but 2009, 2005 are definitely above this team. Yeah, basically Michigan versus the world. You hit the nail on the head with that. Bowl games are just an exhibition going to winter workouts for young guys. 100% what that is. You get to see the next year's talent. That's all you're seeing. It's a chance for coaches to try plays that they drew up in that time period as well. Get guys more condition going into the younger guys' condition for games. That's basically what you're doing. It sucks. Like, again, who wouldn't want to watch a fully strength Texas versus a fully strength Ohio State, or fully strength Texas versus fully strength Missouri, fully strength Ole Miss versus fully strength Texas? I mean, those are really good games that you're missing out on. Another reason for the 12-team playoff. I cannot wait for a 12-team playoff. I really can't. Anyone poo-pooing that just hates college football because you're going to bring more teams into it. Yes, will you have blowouts? Probably. But you also have better games because you will for sure have teams that didn't get in that probably deserve to get in, like this year, like a TCU of the past, a Baylor probably of the past, that could have won a game and were robbed of that because of the 4-team system. The 4-team system was always too little. I was always an 8-team guy myself. I thought 8 teams was the perfect system. We're going a little bit over with the 12, but I'd rather have more than less because the 4-team system, I never liked it in the beginning. I don't like it now, especially. Fully strength Oklahoma State about to take that. Hey, we'll dive deep into that. And Wet Blanket, you're a fan, but if you look at all the stats and the rosters, this game should not be close. Texas should win this game by 3 touchdowns. Christopher Foote, this guy's a jerk. Yes, I am. Paxton ran. I agree. Fully strength Oklahoma State about to take that. I already put that up there. Oregon beat Tech barely. Texas won by 50. 100% agree with that. That's another thing, a common opponent. Listen, Paxton, there's so many statistics flying around on why Texas should be ranked on Twitter. Just go there and look. Like, at this point, I'm done discussing that. I know what in reality what it should be, because it doesn't make sense. If the committee is ranking all the teams 1 through 25, but then they're turning their backs on their own rankings by ranking a team that doesn't have a top 25 win, That doesn't make any sense to me. It is what it is. The committee's a joke. They've always have been a joke. They always just pick and choose which teams they want to get in, and they'll just rhyme and reason that way right down the line. That's why Tennessee's ranked. That's why Kansas honestly probably isn't ranked, because if you put Kansas and Tennessee on a neutral field with Jason Beam, I think Kansas beats Tennessee. And that would be our third best win, fourth best win. So there's so many things wrong with the college football playoff system in general. And I love the sport of college football, but it could be better. And there's things, slight switches that you could change to make the sport so much better, so much more inclusive, and just better all around for the 133 Division I teams involved. And they just refuse to do a lot of it. And the NCAA, don't get me started on them, joke, complete joke. So they get involved in the Michigan scandals, stuff like that, things that are minute to me, other than obviously Connor Stallions, the whole thing, that's big. But the whole cheeseburger thing was stupid. But, Cam Ward isn't even in the transfer portal yet, and teams are offering him $1 million to play. But, the NCAA is cool with that, poaching Washington State, which already is going to be destroyed because the NCAA wouldn't get involved with all this other stuff. It's just amazing to me how dysfunctional college football in general is. But that isn't there's no reason for that to talk about that. Halftime is when we get serious. Wet blanket, if you go down by two or more scores at halftime and Alan Bowman is throwing the football a lot in the second half, you're going to get destroyed. Alan Bowman, I thought he was having a good year, and then I watched some of his highlights, or I should say some of Oklahoma State's games, and then I also looked at his stats. He's not a good quarterback. His best days are behind him. So he's going to have a fantastic game in this game, and again, we'll talk about that in a minute. It'll be interesting. Comp doesn't matter. If it did, then gamblers would make a lot of money. Common opponent doesn't matter. Then gamblers, you're talking about transitive property, not common opponent. There's a gigantic difference there. Winning by 50 isn't relevant. Oh, okay. Winning by 50 isn't relevant. So Oregon shouldn't be ranked ahead of Texas by even more. Thank you. A win is a win. 100% agree. So Texas should be ranked ahead of Oregon. Soon to be Saint Big 12 commissioner going to be angry. Yeah, it's going to be pretty funny if he has to hand us that trophy. He had to do it in the basketball. That was pretty funny. You could tell he did not want to be involved in that. He handed it and then kind of slid out of the way. So it'll be very interesting. Michigan versus the world. Texas is way better than FSU. Bummer they dropped one. Nobody wants to see. Okay, so I agree with that logic. And if you're trying to get the 4 best teams in, I think Texas should be in. But a team going 13-0, you have to put in. I 100% agree. Florida State's going to play Georgia. They're going to lose by about 17 to 24 points, and it's going to be really boring. But it is what it is. It happens every year. We always have a blowout. Again, this is why I beg for the 12-team playoff, and we'll get it next year. You like Texas, you're wearing your blinders. I like how Christopher Foote always provides comments, but never provides stats to back up what he's talking about. Just an opinion there, but we'll see. Okay, guys, we're going to jump into this Texas versus Oklahoma State preview. So Texas, I haven't really gone into Texas stats because I was going into the opponents. We're going into their stats because the season is almost up. And Texas, 35.2 points per game, 22nd in the country out of 133 teams, 17.2 points per game on defense. Better than I thought, honestly. I thought we were a little bit lower there. 12th in the country out of 133 teams. Offensively, we are top 25 in every category you want to look, or top 30 in every category you want to look at. Total rushing yards per play, passing yards per play, passing per game. We are 105th, like I said, in red zone scoring. It is the one weakness on this offense. It's something that has to change, guys. It has to change. If this doesn't change, then if we did get an opportunity to play in the playoff, we would lose because of that. Now, is it possible in that month period we could get better for one of those games? I do believe we could win a game in the playoff because of a fluke red zone game where we just play really well in the red zone. I don't think we're winning a national championship unless we change some fundamental things on offense. A couple of those are running more in the red zone, running a little bit more RPO in the red zone, and going to your players one-on-one, whoever that is. If you have Jatavian Sanders one-on-one, go to him. If you have A.D. Mitchell one-on-one, go to him. If you have Xavier Worthy one-on-one, go to him. We do not do that enough. We try to get gimmicky in the red zone and cute. We need to stop doing that. It works in between the 20s guys. It doesn't work once we get inside the 20s. On defense, we're good at everything. Pass. We're not great overall there. But guys, so we allow 240 yards passing per game. That's 85th in the country. Like, oh, that's not good. I care as a fan about yards per play. That's a far better and far greater statistic to use when breaking down teams. We are 32nd in the country on yards per pass. 6.8 yards per pass is what we allow. That's pretty good. It's better than I thought, just with what my eyes would have told me. And the reason why you can live with a 32nd best yards per passing defense is because you're number 1 or number 2 in the country in red zone opportunities for team scoring, and you're number 1 on third down rate conversion percentage. We're the best third down defense in the country. On top of that, we're top 5 overall in rush yards per games and rush yards per play. So we're fantastic in key areas, and then we're also fantastic in the run game. That was pretty obvious just by watching. But overall, this team just fundamentally sound. It's something that us Texas fans have been begging for a long time. Do the small things well, and the other things will follow. And so far, other than red zone scoring on offense, that is rang true. We do everything else very well. That is the one thing that is keeping us from destroying teams. Do we beat teams by a comfortable margin most of the time? Yes, we do. We don't destroy them. You're right. If you want to go Oregon beats team by 30 points, we beat them by 10. That is the difference. That is the difference. We kick field goals in the red zone. They don't. That's the difference. And that's something that Texas has to get better at. And in this game, guys, we're going against an Oklahoma State team that literally doesn't do anything great. They're not top 25 in anything other than rushing the football. This is a very good rushing the football team. It's not a very good passing team at all. They don't really stop the run. They're right in the middle of the country. They're on the lower end in passing yards allowed per game and yards per play in the country. It's a bad matchup for Oklahoma State. It really is. What they do best is our strength. What they do the worst is our weakness. So unless Alan Bowman is willing and able to throw 35 times and go off, I really don't see a path for victory for Oklahoma State. It's going to be very tough for the Pokes to stay in this game. I'm going to jump into your comments, and we'll dive in to the path to victory for both teams. Wet blanket. Be honest with me. What is your real percent chance for Oklahoma State winning this game? And this is what I mean. If Texas played Oklahoma State 100 times in this exact stadium at this exact same time with the exact players they are going to line up with on Saturday, how many times do you think Oklahoma State would win? I have my opinion. I think it's around 7 to 10%. I think we win this game 93 to 100% of the time, or 93 to 90% of the time. All the statistics would back me up on that. That's why you see the spread at the last I checked, which is around 2 or 3 o'clock Eastern time, was 15.5 points. So Vegas would agree with me also. Ollie Gordon's going to have a monster game, or Alan Bowman's going to have the game of his life. That's really the only way. David Prange would have helped Texas to rematch with Oklahoma. Yeah, I think it would have helped a little bit. Like I said, I think Oklahoma was right in between Kansas State and Oklahoma State for me matchup-wise. I think Oklahoma State was the best matchup for Texas. I think Kansas State was the worst. I think Oklahoma was right in the middle. Football and boxing are the same, guys. It's all about matchups. It's all about how you line up and everything. There are teams that are worse than other teams but perform better against teams that might be on that level because of matchups. That's just how it is. And I think Oklahoma State is a legitimate top 30, top 35 team. The problem is they do not match up well with us. They just don't. It's not that weird. The score was 27-24. I don't understand what that is. Oh, Christopher Flood. Okay, I got what you're saying, Wet Blanket. Wet Blanket and have the Big 12 Coach of the Year and the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, first team linebacker, but not a chance. That's 3 players or 2 players you named. What other position? And again, running back is the most, guys, it's the easiest position to play on the field. It is. It's literally the least important position on the field. You're running. This isn't 1990 where the running back is valued as highly as it was. It's just not. And Ollie Gordon is a phenomenal player. I like him a lot. I think he's a top 3 running back in the country, if not the best. I think him and Jonathan Brooks were right there battling for that spot when Jonathan Brooks was healthy. But he's not going to win. Wet Blanket, do you know who rushed for the most yards on Texas as a running back this year? It was Taj Brooks last week. How much did that help Texas Tech? It didn't. Ollie Gordon, again, we'll go into the keys. Ollie Gordon's going to have like an insane game for them if he's going to be the one to carry this team. It's going to be an all on Alan Bowman. I'm just letting you know that right now. So if you believe in Alan Bowman, go ahead. Think you're going to win. But that's who it's going to be on, and you're going to be wrong. And guess what? If I'm not wrong, I will be here at 3:45 Eastern time. I hope you're here as well because I will be. I'll in my face, but we'll dive deeper and tell me the path to victory when we get there. Uh, have you changed your mind about who goes to playoff if Bama beats Georgia? Who goes Bama or Texas? I'm still 50-50 on that. Okay, so B Bean, are you asking what I think the committee will do, or are you asking my opinion? If you're asking my opinion, I think Alabama will probably get in. I don't know why I think that. I couldn't tell you. It's just a gut feeling. I honestly think the committee would probably put Texas in just because of head-to-head. They said head-to-head matters. That question was asked, and that was like the first real answer the guy gave. Boo Corrigan, he said it matters no matter where you play. Head-to-head matters no whatever time of the season, basically. So he really values head-to-head, so that's what I'm thinking. I don't know, though. Okay. Uh, Running back importance depends on scheme. That too. And Oklahoma State definitely, you saw them take off when they decided we're going to start Alan Bowman. We're not doing this three quarterback rotation, and we're going to use Ollie Gordon. And it's been phenomenal since then. But again, they just don't match up. This isn't a good matchup. That's why I have a hard time with Wet Blanket. Like, I don't think you're a bad team. I think it's a god awful matchup for Oklahoma State. That's what I think. That's what I've said. I think it's crazy that you think this is a good matchup. In what area does Oklahoma State match up well with Texas? What area? Their cornerbacks are very big, but they're not speedy. Their linebackers are good downhill players. They're not great in coverage. Neither are their safeties. And guess who they're going to be covering? The second best tight end in all of the country in Jatavian Sanders. If the only way this team is, they're going to have to pull out stops. And again, we'll dive into that. You know what? We'll dive into that right now after I answer this. What do you think will happen overall by Saturday? Who are your top 4 teams in your opinion? Okay. What do I think is going to happen? I think the final rankings are going to end up being Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida State. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think Florida State is going to be or lose to Louisville. I just don't. Okay, so path to victory for both teams. So, guys, I've kind of touched about it a little bit. So Ollie Gordon, first in the country in rushing, as we all know. He's second in touchdowns, overall touchdowns with 22. 21 of them were rushing. One of them was receiving. I think Ollie Gordon, for them to win, guys, is going to have 25 plus touches for over 120 total yards. I don't care how he gets them. He has to get 120 plus yards for them to be in this game or to win this game. He's very important to their offense. He's the main player. He was the offensive player in the Big 12, as Wet Blanket pointed out. Ollie Gordon has to have 25 plus touches for over 120 yards. He has to. If those criteria do not hit, they're not winning this game. Alan Bowman this year is completing 59% of his passes. He has 10 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Alan Bowman in his career is a 62% completion percentage passer. Alan Bowman's going to have to complete 62% of his passes or better and have 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Has to be clean. If he throws an interception, they're going to lose this game. They have to win the turnover battle by 2+, guys. They have to win it 3-1, 2-0, something of that sort. And I've said this in most of the Texas games because Texas is that much better than the Big 12. The Big 12 is down and Texas is back up. And that's the problem here. When that happens, then these teams have to play above their skis for a chance to even compete with Texas. Guys, I saw the 4th best team in the Big 12, Kansas State, lose to us with the backup quarterback when he had, I think he had 3 or 4 turnovers. He had 3 for sure. I'm thinking if he had 4. I think we had a total of 4 turnovers. They had 1 turnover. So they beat us in the turnover margin by 3, and they still lost to us with the backup quarterback. That's what I mean. I just don't see it, guys. This is why it's very hard for me to see Oklahoma State winning. We're going to have to play a very bad game. We're going to have to play a C- D+ game, and they're going to have to play an A game. That's what it's going to take. Their defense has to hold Texas under 28 points because they're not scoring 29 points on this defense or more. They're not. It's not happening. The only way they are going to be able to do that is a defensive touchdown. Like if we throw a pick six, special teams, something of that sorts. And that's the only way. Texas path to victory, play a C game. It's that simple. Play a C game. Quinn Ewers, complete 60 to 65% of your passes, throw one touchdown, throw one interception, rush for 125 yards on the ground, and keep the defense can give up 24 points. We still win the game. We still win the game. Well, now, will we cover? Absolutely not. We'll probably win like 27-24. But if we play a C game, we're winning this game still. That's all you have to do. And people are so, oh, he's so biased. Guys, the stats just back up everything I'm saying. I don't understand why people. I'm very stats oriented. If the stats tell me something, I'm going to go with it. I have yet to say, and people have watched them on here, that we're going to blow anyone out. I didn't say we were going to blow Iowa State out. I didn't say we were going to blow Houston out. I didn't say we were going to blow Oklahoma out. I didn't say we were going to blow Alabama. I didn't say. I think the only team I said might have been a blowout was TCU, and I was right for half, and then totally wrong. I said we were going to lose to Kansas State with Malik Murphy. We ended up winning. This is a bad matchup, and Texas is going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it rather easily. Texas covers the spread and wins this game 38-20. I think that's a pretty convincing win over a top 20 team in the country, and it's a good win. 38-20. That's my final score. B-Bean, no one agrees with me. LOL, playoff teams, Michigan, Washington, Texas, Bama. That would be a fun playoff. I think, honestly, the best overall playoff for competition and ratings-wise, it would be Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Texas. I think that would be very fun matchups. You get Georgia and Texas, 2018 Sugar Bowl. Don't play each other very often. They play each other next year, so it's kind of a preview, which, by the way, both quarterbacks will probably be back. And then you have Oregon and Michigan, which I think would be a hell of a game. I think those are two of the top 3 line of scrimmage teams in all of the country. And I think Texas, honestly, has the best defensive line in the country, but offensive line were a little bit more down compared to those teams. I think offensive line-wise, those are probably 1 and 2. So that'd be a hell of a matchup. It'd be really, really fun. That playoff excites me so much. We'll see what happens, though. Sandra says Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Texas. That's what I said. I think that would be the most fun playoff scenario. Like I said, my realistic one, guys, sadly, is Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Florida. That's what I think we're going to get. Georgia's going to kill Florida State. I don't know. Michigan and Oregon will be a really fun matchup and a really good game. I think we're getting Georgia, Michigan, personally. I think that's what's going to end up being. I think those are the 2 best teams. I think we slot in. I think on our best day, if we played an A game, we could be the second best team in the country, possibly first. I put a second. But the way we play, I think we'd end up probably winning. We could compete with Georgia and Michigan. I don't think we would beat them, if I'm being realistic. Like, again, if we played our A game, I think we could beat both. And I'd slot us as the second. I think we're better than Michigan if we play our A game. But with the way things have gone throughout this whole season, what my eyes and the stats say, I think we're honestly probably between the 3rd and 5th best team in the country. Being 38-20 is reasonable. I 100% agree. I don't think people are saying we're not going to beat him by 50. Mike Gundy is way too good of a coach. He's going to pull something out of his shoes, out of his skis, out of whatever you want to call it. He's going to pull it out of his hat, a rabbit out of his mullet. How about that? He's going to pull something out of his mullet. They're going to do something that catches us off guard. They're going to do something crazy on special teams. They're going to have like a halfback reverse pass BS on offense or something like that. They're going to have to go crazy because if they just line up and play man-to-man with Texas, they will lose. Any reasonable Oklahoma State fan will tell you that. And anyone that doesn't is just wrong because, guys, when it comes down to it, if you're going to go Jimmys and Joes versus X's and O's, if you're just going to go Jimmys and Joes versus us, you're going to get killed as an Oklahoma State fan. Now, you do have a good enough talent to where if we make a couple mistakes and you get a couple breaks on your side, you could get us in a really tight game and possibly win. But you're going to have to get a lot of breaks in this game. You're going to have to pull a lot of stuff out of Mike Gundy's mullet to win. That's the only way. It's going to have to be crazy. Alan Bowman is going to have to do what he did versus us when Tom Herman was there, when he was throwing the horns down. That's the only time you're ever going to see me do that. When they were up by, 14, 15 points and we came back and tied and put it into overtime. That's the only time Alan Bowman was good. And if he goes back to that form, they can beat us. That's the only chance, though. John or Jose. Yeah, 100%. You're right. I don't think we had 5. Did we have 5? We might have had 5. We had 4. You're right. I think we had 4 or 5 turnovers, and they beat us by 4 points. And Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are pretty even to me, obviously, as you saw them play. So unless we just go nuclear on ourselves, guys, we're not losing. Yes, B-Bean, it is pretty interesting, and I can't wait for next year, honestly, because, one, I'm going to have a sour taste in my mouth because there's a good chance we don't get in the playoffs, and it's going to suck. But again, celebrate this season. But it's going to be cool to have like some actual something sustainable, something that will last, and something to look back to and be like, you know what, I'm confident going into this season. I think this season was a season of hope for Texas. We hoped we would do this. We hoped we would do that. And if we win the Big 12 championship, we accomplished everything we hoped for. So it's not a bad season at all. And then we get to build off of that going into a new conference versus a new schedule versus new teams, new atmospheres. That's going to be really fun and really something to look forward to in the offseason. And I will be here in the offseason talking about it. So hit that like button, subscribe down below. Go over to the Texas channel, do the same thing. Go over to the Big 12 channel, do the same thing. Go over to the SEC channel because I'll be there next year. What we're talking about next year. Hit that like button and subscribe down below. Okay, Sandra, you're getting a little bit crazy here. Texas killing everyone after we haven't killed anyone. Come on now. Jose, Gundy is a good coach. Texas can't come and thinking, 100%. You want to go in there and punch them in the mouth and make Alan Bowman have to throw on you. If you keep them in this game and force Ollie Gordon, and they keep force feeding the ball to Ollie Gordon, he will break a run. That's what's going to happen. So you want to minimize how many touches he can get, and you do that by scoring early and putting the pressure on Alan Bowman. Christopher Foote, luckily they played a game, and your opinion doesn't mean anything. Your impressions of Arch Manning after seeing him play more. Huge arm, very athletic. That's really it, guys. That's what you had to take away. That the guy threw 3 passes, and 2 of them were absolute rockets. Someone put that thing in an RPG and shot it, and it's. I mean, those things were. He just said, "F it, I'm throwing it as hard as I can. If you can't catch it, that's on you." But he's very athletic and he has a big arm. He's definitely, honestly, guys, just from those few throws and his decision making based off of those, he should have been the backup over Malik. Malik made so many questionable calls, and people are saying he's going to transfer. Listen, thank you for what you did, but you can transfer. That's completely fine with me. I was very harsh on him when after the Kansas State game. I mean, guys, some of the boneheaded mistakes he made, freshmen in high school aren't making. Like, they're just really bad mistakes, and if he transfers, it's no big deal. It really isn't. Manning has some legs too. 100%. He has a big arm. That's what I saw. If he can have half the mental capabilities that his uncles have with those 2 attributes we saw, he'll be fine. He'll be 100% fine. I'm not going to go too crazy because I haven't seen him yet. And it's going to be interesting, guys, because we could have Quinn Ewers coming back. And I really think there's a possibility, guys, if Quinn Ewers comes back, he's very close to unlocking, like, Mac Jones type potential. And I don't know if anyone remembers Mac Jones at Alabama, but it was insane. It was like efficiency out the ass. Like no one's ever seen. It was almost rivaling Joe Burrow efficiency type levels. And I think there's a possibility for Quinn Ewers to get to that point of not Joe Burrow, but Mac Jones efficiency in college and that type of offense, especially with the weapons we'll have around them. And if not, then you get Arch Manning, and I think you're going to see more running, more offset plays, off timing play. So that could be interesting as well. There's a lot of interesting things going into next year. But again, guys, let's take care of business this week. I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Saturday, 3:30, 3:45 Eastern time. I will be back no matter what. If Texas loses, I'll still be here. Wet blanket, Christopher Foote. You guys can come and make fun of me. I don't care. Hit that like button. Subscribe down below. Go over to the Texas channel, do the same thing. Go over to the Big 12 channel, do the same thing. Go over to the SEC channel, do the same thing. Thank you guys for being here. It's always a pleasure. This was the Bleeding Burnt Orange live number 23. Guys, this was the last regular season one. It's been a pleasure. Now, Texas, win the whole damn thing. Hook 'em, guys.